everybody. So I am sitting here today in my backyard with a friend who you are going to want to know about. Vince is going to be telling us, and you're going to want to know why he's going to be telling us, what he eats on a whole food plant-based diet in a day. All right, so Vince, now let me just tell you something. I've known Vince for a few years now. How long have you been plant-based?
I've been plant-based for almost 5 years now, I think.
God, so you and I the same.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, we pretty much turned at the same time. Because actually, I remember bumping into you at Whole Foods and a number of events. There'd be these like vegan events or cooking demos or whatever in LA, and I'd always see Vince there. And I have to say, I'm in huge admiration of you because you went for it. You do it 100%. You've just thrown yourself into this world.
Well, I mean, and honestly, it's been an adventure, but I could say the same thing about you because I've looked to you as a great resource as I've incorporated green juices into my life and started going to more whole food plant-based.
Right.
So you've been a great resource for me and you've helped me out tremendously on my journey.
Well, thank you. So we're helping each other out here. But you know, what I thought was really interesting was from a guy's point of view. Because I know a lot of you say, sometimes I say guys. I can't get it right, Vince. Sometimes I say, hey, you guys, and people are like, can you stop saying you guys? Which I know is a little generic and kind of awful. And then sometimes I go, ladies. And then I get guys going,
I'm not a lady.
What, you're just talking to women. So I'm just going to say, for everybody who's watching, Vince is going to show us because I do talk primarily to women and I generally have women guests on my channel. So he's going to show us what he eats in a day. Now, what's really interesting and why you are going to want to stick around is he has something that he's going to show us that he puts in his smoothie every single morning, which is very healing for the gut, but you're going to have to stick around to the end. I was pretty wowed. It's something I didn't know. I've never seen before. So we're going to get to that in a minute. So stick around. Do not go. It is actually everything that Vince is going to show us it's so not generic, it's so interesting, and everything that he's showing comes with a special tip. So this is fascinating stuff. So first off, what is that?
Well, this is actually the bag, and you can see it here, that I carry around my food in whenever I'm traveling, even during the day.
You do?
When I'm out and around, I put it in my car. And what's pretty unique about this is you could open each side up.
It looks like a huge camera bag.
It is, but actually you could put 4 smoothies or whatever you want in here.
Look at that.
So there's compartments on each side.
So 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, and it's totally padded and like seriously insulated.
Yeah, so you could put 4 32-ounce mason jars.
We're going to link to this underneath the video. I want to buy one. I'm buying one now.
And then basically you open up the front here, and then you could just stack whatever containers you have.
So if you've got like all the different glass containers, you're taking lunch and dinner, some of you just stack it in there and your smoothies. And does it come with the coolers or you buy those separately, the little cooling blocks?
It does come with some coolers that you put on the side here.
Yeah.
But I've had this for a really long time. And
Wow.
So I use my own ice packs. And it comes with some plastic containers.
Yeah.
It actually comes with a compartment that you could put in here. But I felt like my containers were a little bigger and I wanted to use glass instead of the plastic.
Yeah, cool.
So I've just kind of modified it to what I use. But it's called 6-Pack Abs. They have this one. They have a smaller one.
6-Pack Abs. It's genius.
Yeah. So what you're gonna like is you're gonna look at this. Yeah.
Wait a minute. That doesn't come with it, does it?
No, that doesn't come with it.
Okay, look, they're so eco-friendly because obviously my channel is gorgeously green. It's all about being green. Vince. Now, he's just taking it to the next level. He's got chopsticks, he's got a knife and a fork, and they're bamboo, and that is so awesome. To go where? Link underneath. This is brilliant. I'm itching to get on Amazon Prime. That is going to be at my front door tomorrow. All right, let's hit it. Let's get to what you eat in a day.
Okay.
So the main thing is, one of the things that I wanted to talk about is what you eat in a day. Is a lot of men say to me, including my husband, how am I going to get the protein? How am I going to get all the nutrients I need? I just don't understand.
Yeah, and that's a big concern. And I think there's a stereotype when you talk about vegan or plant-based where 10 years ago, it was even 5 years ago, it was a lot different. But now you're seeing athletes go plant-based.
Yeah, a lot.
You're seeing so many people that are embracing it from a male's point of view. Even bodybuilders
Yes.
are going plant-based because they're realizing the protein profile of the foods, how it works in your body, the amino acid chain. I mean, there's so many things, inflammation too. If you're active and you're moving around and you want to reduce inflammation in your body, there's so many benefits to a plant-based diet, and you could get enough protein, you could still grow muscle, you could still achieve all those things if you want to do that.
It's amazing. It's so I listen to all these podcasts, and so, just recently I've listened to so many podcasts about athletes, and there's a new documentary coming out which we'll link to, because whether it's new and you're watching this now, or whether it's like old story and you're watching it in 5 years' time, it's still going to be relevant. And it's called The Game Changers.
Yep,
Have you heard of it?
I've heard of it.
Which is going to be fascinating, which really is those athletes and bodybuilders. So the takeaway with that is, if you are a girl or a guy watching and you work out a lot and you really are very concerned, because I think we've been brainwashed to believe that we need the animal flesh in order to get all this sort of protein we need, and it's just absolutely not true.
Yeah.
So hit it. So in the morning
So,
you have your smoothie, you said.
So a lot of times I'll put, either mixed berries, frozen berries,
Yeah.
frozen banana, some greens in there.
Yeah.
But I wanted to kind of show you kind of some other step it up a notch kind of
He is
things.
stepping, and that's what he's going to show us at the end. You see, we're keeping you watching to the end, because there is something that I'm also dying to get.
So I'm really big on sprouting whatever nuts I use.
Okay,
from
so
a
do you
digestion
always do
standpoint.
that?
Lately I haven't.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we have a big jar of sprouted almonds.
Well, actually, to actually sprout the almonds, let me kind of go back.
Yes.
You need to soak them. I want to say it's like 3 or 4 days.
Yeah. Oh, really?
It takes a while to actually sprout it, but what I do is I just soak them in water for, you could do it as little as 8 hours. I
Yeah.
usually do it for about 24. But what it does, it removes the phytic acid.
Right,
So it
okay.
helps your body break down. You actually absorb the protein, the vitamins, and minerals that are in the almonds when you soak them in water. And then I place them in a dehydrator.
Yeah.
So
And
then
it
I
makes them
dehydrate them.
crispy and delicious.
Oh, let me, here.
And Vince has some digestive issues, don't you?
Yes, I was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis.
Which, oh my gosh.
So yeah, so you could see like a normal almond, you couldn't just, here, I'll show you. You could just snack it.
It's
it just falls
so
apart.
crispy, and it actually tastes different to me. It tastes so almondy and crispy. Okay, so just walk us through. So,
I'll place salt.
24 hours, soak it in water.
Soak them in water
Uh-huh.
with a little salt.
Oh,
So you
okay.
put a little salt in the water, just kind of helps the whole process.
Yes.
And then I just rinse them off really good.
Yeah.
Pat them down, and then I just place them in the dehydrator and turn the dehydrator on. Now I usually dehydrate them under 118 degrees because I want to keep them raw.
Yes.
Keep all the enzymes
Yes,
and
yeah.
everything in there. So I usually do about maybe 110.
Right.
And I'll just let it go. And then sometimes if I do it, usually I'll do it for a couple days in the dehydrator just to make sure everything's good. So I'll just set it twice and put them in a mason jar.
Okay, so I am getting my dehydrator down from the attic today. Today, Vince, I have one of those big things because I'm such a kind of like, my husband's like, oh my gosh, not another thing coming to the front door. And we don't have a lot of space in my house, so it ends up in the attic unless it's being used at least once a week. But I'm absolutely sold now because I've never, honestly, apart from those very expensive ones that you buy at the store, that is so delicious. Plus, for your healing your gut, that's going to help.
And
Right.
and also too, when you do this with almonds, you have to use raw almonds.
Right,
So
yes.
what I'll do is I'll go to the farmer's market because you can't buy raw almonds at the supermarket unless they've been imported from Italy or Spain. If you see almonds, if you turn on the back, they're going to say pasteurized. They've all been heat pasteurized. Once they've been heat pasteurized, this whole process doesn't
Is
really
redundant.
Yeah, it doesn't do much to it.
Okay, so wait a minute. Back up. Another really important tip here. So if I go to the supermarket and I see a packet that says raw almonds,
It shouldn't say raw. You have to look
but
at
if
the
it
back.
does say raw,
If
because
it-
I've seen a lot of packets that say raw.
If it does say raw, you have to flip it back, and it'll probably say imported from Spain or imported from Italy or imported someplace else.
Oh, because
can
they
be raw.
can't do raw in America.
In America.
Because it's not legal.
Well, they had a salmonella outbreak back in, I think it was like somewhere in California, up in the Central Coast somewhere. And they said from now on, all the almonds being sold in stores have to be heat pasteurized so we don't have another salmonella outbreak.
Wow. So I would then say probably, wouldn't you say that 90% of nuts?
Are all pasteurized. Yeah.
And so can we go online? Can I link to somewhere? Can you give us a good resource?
Where to get raw almonds?
Yeah.
Yeah, we could find some raw almonds. What I usually do is because almonds are not cheap.
No, they're really expensive.
So I have a farmer that I always go to the farmer's market where I'll call him up usually
Oh,
Whoa.
That's so weird. This thing fell down from the tree on top of my head. Yeah.
And I'll say, hey, and he'll bring me a 25-pound bag of almonds.
Really?
And I'll just take that 25-pound bag home, and then I'll dehydrate it as I need to.
Oh, he's brilliant, Vince.
So I'm saving some money, too.
I am learning so much. So I'm getting my almonds in future from the farmer's market because there are 2 nut sellers at my local farmer's market. Mm-hmm. And they're beautiful. Great. So raw, don't trust the packet. If it's from the US, it probably isn't. It will be pasteurized, and then you're going to sprout them. Great.
Yeah.
And then you can eat those as a snack.
Eat them as a snack, but what I do is I just take a handful or 2 and just toss them in the blender.
Great, as a smoothie,
Yeah.
in your smoothie.
Mm-hmm. And you can make your own almond butter I just use a food processor.
Yeah.
And it takes a while.
It does take a while, I know.
But
it really takes a while.
You can make
and
your
you
own.
could make your own almond milk out of sprouted almonds
Yes.
as well. And homemade almond milk from sprouted almonds is so delicious.
Yes.
And you can do it with any other kind of nut as well.
Oh yeah.
Walnuts,
Cashews, walnuts.
Yeah, great. God, great advice, Vince.
So that's the first thing.
Yeah.
So moving along kind of the smoothie train here, one of my favorite things is spirulina.
You don't worry about the hepatotoxins I always say that, and the neurotoxins.
You know, it depends on where it's sourced. This is not the brand. This is a Whole Foods brand.
Yeah.
But normally I get Hawaiian spirulina.
Right, yeah, which is apparently the safer one. I tend to play super safe and go for chlorella over spirulina.
And I do have chlorella here too.
But I know spirulina has a lot of protein in it.
Yeah, I think it's about 60% weight is protein.
Wow, that's
spirulina.
incredible.
So if you're really looking to up the protein content of your smoothies, I mean, you could do that with spirulina pretty easy, but chlorella as well. I always get the broken cell wall chlorella.
Oh, tell us why. So why do we need broken cell wall
It's just
chlorella?
easy. It's like kind of like with kale, right? You want to
Yes.
massage it, you want to break it down,
Yes.
you want it easier to digest.
To release the compounds.
Same thing that has to do with chlorella and spirulina and everything.
And these are the tablets, and you can, it's by Some Food, and we'll link to that underneath the video, but that's really easy to just pop a couple of those a day, isn't it?
Oh yeah, I just toss them in the smoothie.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, you rarely eat. I mean, you don't even taste it really.
Actually, that's true. Of course, you can put a tablet in a smoothie because it's going to get ground down. God. Okay, brilliant. Brilliant. All right, so that's your morning smoothie.
So
And then
that's
again,
mine.
the secret ingredient that you're going to hear about in a minute. And then what else? Give us a so you've had your smoothie in the morning. Do you eat anything else for breakfast?
Not really.
Because it's so filling a smoothie.
It's usually I make it pretty thick, and it's a big one. It's 32 ounces.
Oh, you drink
so,
32 ounces,
yeah.
which is basically like half a Vitamix worth.
Yeah, so it's a big one.
Yeah. Now, lunch. What are we doing then?
Lunch, a lot of times I'll do a salad, either spinach or I'll massage the kale. But then I also like to put something else in there to kind of like spice it up. So one of the things I like to do is either I have a sprouted quinoa trio, and this is the same thing. Sprouted quinoa, it's easier to digest. But quinoa is a great source of plant-based protein.
Yeah, it is.
It's actually a complete protein.
Yes.
Which is hard. Sometimes it's
Yeah.
hard to find that. So it has all your essential amino acids.
Yeah.
So you could just toss some of this in there. It tastes great. And if you cut up the kale or the spinach and really fine it,
Yes.
and then you mix this in with the quinoa, and then you can add in whatever else you want. If you want to chop in some onions, some cucumbers, some tomatoes, you really kind of make it whatever.
Even.
Yeah.
And some sprouted nuts.
I've done some coconut with mango.
Oh.
I mean, you
So you could go tropical with
Yeah.
it, or you could do Mediterranean, or do anything.
So if you want a meal plan, so what I do for meal planning is I'll make a batch of quinoa, I'll make a batch of rice, I'll make a batch of whatever, and then you have your
Just
base.
you're assembling, basically.
Yeah. So then it's like, okay, you could take that same quinoa, that same kale, that same spinach, and then you could add mango and coconut and some flavors. It's different. Then you could take that same base and add some onions, some cucumber, or whatever, and give it a
Yes.
different flavor.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing you did from your meal planning.
Oh my gosh, we're going to have him back. By the way, let me know to take us through some meal planning and batch cooking. But wait, before that goes, quickly, because I know people are going to ask. This is a brand called True Roots that I love. I'm going to link to them underneath. They do grains and lentils and pasta and everything that we need for a plant-based diet. And they do a lot of sprouted grains. And I love this one particularly because it is the trio. It's 3 different colors of quinoa. And because you've got the dark colors in, you've got the extra antioxidants. So that is genius. So we're going to link to this particular one underneath the video. All right, what else have we got?
And another thing I also have for lunch, and this could be either lunch or dinner, depending on what you want, is I love tempeh.
So do I.
It's so versatile. It's basically a fermented soy. Just make sure it's always organic when you buy it. Any soy product, you want to make sure it's organic.
It's fermented soybeans, isn't it?
Correct, soybeans.
They're all smushed together.
They're all smushed together into a block, and what's great is you could chop it up. You could keep it as squares. You can make strips and make tempeh bacon, however you want to flavor it. But it really absorbs the flavor. The trick about tempeh is it's always best to boil it a little bit.
I was going to ask you that. So next tip here. So you boil it before you slice it, fry it, bake it, whatever.
9 times out of 10, I will boil it.
And why?
Because it helps absorb all those flavors. So when you boil the tempeh, it kind of opens it up. You'll notice it gets a little bigger, kind of absorbs.
Yeah.
So then when you
Like
put
a
all
sponge.
the seasonings in
Then
there,
it gets
it's
in there.
absorbing it all a little better.
All right, because I have to be honest, I'm a little lazy sometimes. I do like a tempeh steak, and I just don't. So I marinate it. I marinate the heck out of it, but I don't do the boiling. But if I do the boiling and marinating like heck, then it's going to be off the charts.
Yeah.
Right.
It'll
great.
absorb so much more.
So that could be lunch, a great dinner. It's a great dinner food. And also what I sometimes do with tempeh is I'll grate it and throw it. It grates really well. It
I've
grates
never
like
grated
cheese.
it.
It's like having a hunk of cheddar cheese. You grate it with a box grater, and then you can throw it in a bolognese, in a chili, in anything like that, just to really up the protein.
So what I would normally do is I just crumble it.
Ah, well, crumbling is good.
So, but grating would, I wouldn't have to try
well, you
that.
can crumble. Now we know that you can grate, crumble, slice.
Slices it, dice it.
Slice it and dice it and cube it. You can do anything with it. All right, let's move on. We're almost getting there.
So for dinner, it's lunch and dinner. I kind of go back and forth.
Yeah,
Sometimes
me
if I
too.
make dinner and I
Interchangeable.
take it for lunch the next day, I left over. I'm big on that. So 2 other things that I always have is sprouted lentil trios. Now I'm really getting in lately to sprouted lentils, sprouted beans, just from the digestive standpoint, because beans and legumes in general have always given me a hard time.
Yeah,
digestively.
because as Vince said, don't forget he has ulcerative colitis.
Correct.
And I'm so happy because so many people think that they can't eat a whole food plant-based diet who have this condition, and you're really soothing your gut. I mean, he's also, listen, you have to hear this. I should have said this at the beginning of the video, that you look about 300 times healthier now than you did 5 years ago, because I knew him 5 years ago. You've lost weight, your skin looks good, you're strong, he has tons of energy. He came to an event to shoot some videos that I did recently and did like 18-hour days or 16-hour days, full of energy. So he's doing something right, just needed to say that. All right, so instead of beans, which you have a hard time with, you would go for a sprouted lentil.
Sprouted, or even some sprouted beans. I'm trying to incorporate those, but sprouted lentils have worked great. It's a legume. You're going to get a high amount of protein. You can put those on a salad. Same thing. You can put you know what I do is I put them on avocado toast.
You do?
Yeah. So you just toss some of the sprouted lentils on avocado toast.
What a brilliant idea. So you do a little bit of avocado. You could do maybe a quarter of an avocado to keep if you wanted to keep the fat down, and then load it with the protein.
You can even use tempeh on top. I've used tempeh on top of avocado.
You
do like a Mexican seasoning tempeh, then you have your toast, you have your guacamole or your avocado.
Okay, you're coming back. We're cooking. You're coming back to cook. We're doing a cooking series with Vince. Really? I mean, seriously, I'm not kidding. If you want that in the comments, please let us know. And this is the lentil trio, much like the same brand, True Roots, much like the quinoa that does. I love that they do these trios because they've got the black, the red, and the green lentils, all of which are delicious and different. So amazing.
Yeah.
And they cook super quickly, lentils. They cook in like 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes, done.
So last thing here.
Well, it's not last because we got the secret
we got the
ingredients.
special.
We got the special.
Last thing we're talking about now.
Yes, go.
Is regular just tofu. Now, this is a high protein tofu, so it's super firm.
Yeah.
And the difference is with tofu is the more firmness, that means less water. I mean, so the most water has been squeezed out of it, so the less water content.
Yeah.
You'll see some that's if it's not firm, it's soft.
Yes.
And that means there's more water in there.
Okay.
So I always go for firm because I feel firm is just easier to cook with. It's easier to flavor.
Yeah.
So very similar concept to what you use with the tempeh. So whatever marinade you'd use in the tempeh, you could also use it in the tofu.
Yes.
It's going to give you a different consistency. It's not going to be as nutty and flaky as a tempeh. But this is a great blend. Just make sure you try to always get organic and non-GMO.
Yeah, and this is sprouted.
Yes.
So Wildwood, again, link underneath, they do sprouted tofu, which makes the beans are sprouted. And I find that with tempeh and tofu, there is a different flavor profile, because although people say, well, tofu doesn't taste of anything, and they are blank canvases to an extent.
Exactly.
Just so that you know, I think tempeh has more of a flavor. It's a kind of nutty, it's got more of a flavor. I kind of almost know I'm eating tempeh, whereas I think tofu is a little bit more, lends itself to customization. You can put a lot more flavor in.
Yeah.
It's more of a blank canvas, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, and you can hide this a lot easier in
That's
stuff.
That's exactly
Where tempeh,
right.
you really can't
No,
hide
you can't
it.
hide it. Like you could put tofu in a smoothie and you would never know it was there. Or in a dessert, you can make a chocolate dessert with, but you couldn't do that with tempeh. Good, cool. All right, let's get to the secret ingredient.
The secret ingredient, and I use this in my smoothies every morning, it's actually glutamine. But
What is glutamine? Tell everybody what it is.
It's basically an amino acid.
Yeah.
But it's great for protein, and this one is actually made from wheat berries.
Wow, because it's often not plant-based, glutamine.
It's often not plant-based. And this one it's made from wheat berries, and actually, as you can see, it's great for immune function, muscle repair, intestinal health. It's just a great thing and you don't even taste it.
It's genius because it's really what everybody wants, and particularly, you know, if you're a guy who's watching, or if your guy maybe wants to try and be plant-based and he's like, I work out, I need the protein. It almost covers everything, this, because it's just like, okay, so immune function, fantastic, muscle repair, which is important.
After you work out, you want them.
Yeah, and if you're really doing a lot of high intensity or strength training, you want that repair. And I love that is the intestinal health as well.
Yeah. And originally, that's what drew me to this, was the intestinal health.
And you don't even know it's there. Is it flavored?
It's pretty just bland. I mean, you could tell it's just white powder.
It's just a white powder, goes away, doesn't have any of that weird too much stevia or sweetness in it.
And I played around with some plant-based protein powders.
Me too. Not always loving them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you know, I tend to shy away from them because you never know. Sometimes they upset my stomach a little bit, especially if I have it like a few days in a row, and I'm like, ugh.
What was in that exactly? Or there's a certain green that you're not sure about, or there's way too much stevia, and it makes it so sweet it's disgusting. So yeah, sort of build your own. Vince, you are a wealth of information. I just so enjoy trudging this path together, because that's what I feel that the two of us have done. What's your YouTube channel?
It's under Vince Leah. If you just type in Vince Leah.
Vince Leah, obviously, we'll link to that underneath. Follow him. Get everyone you know to follow him. Get all the guys to follow him. He's got so much information, such a nice guy. I'm sure you'll agree. And obviously, subscribe, because I have so many videos on everything pertaining to health and beauty and Gorgeously Green and the whole 9 yards. And we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Hi, thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, there are hundreds more. And please also visit my blog at sophieuliano.com for detailed reviews, recipes, DIYs, and more.